All right, welcome back, fellas. Episode 294 of Together BHA. We're closing on that 300 real quick. Welcome back, fellas. Rubinho is in Iceland, so he is on ice for this episode entirely. So it's just us. Craig, Adam, how has your summer been? Anything notable? Anything going on? I know, Craig, you've made the move to Florida. Adam, how's life?
Life is good, yeah. A summer of not watching the Club World Cup, which is nice. So, and just getting used to the heat down here. So, it's been a nice little summer. What about yourself, Adam?
I did unfortunately have to see the Club World Cup. I went to the final because it was right here, and it was a sight to behold, really. Because obviously, old Donny T was in town for it, which was curious. I'd left just before they did all the celebratory stuff, if you want to call it celebratory. So I missed the heightened awkwardness of all that as well. That was the only game I watched, the final that I was there for. The rest of it I couldn't care about at all. Outside of that, what's been going on? Life has been happening. I don't know about you, but it feels weird. It feels like it's been ages since we've had Albion football, but everything else football, for me, it hasn't stopped. It feels that we've now we're just doing this again now. And I never thought I'd say this, but I feel like we could do with more of a break in football, because it's just a lot, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I think that is, spoiler alert, when it comes to our league predictions. I think one of City or Chelsea are gonna get whiplash at some point during this season, where the fact that they literally haven't had a break at all, other than maybe a week and a half off between going to the US and coming back.
That's why Chelsea have now got 45 forwards and wingers of various capacity. They know.
It will be interesting, because obviously they can only register 25 players, right? So something's got to give, and not a lot of them fit under that under 21 criteria. A lot of them are just slightly above that now as well. So something's got to give. And those two teams, I saw Real Madrid are absolutely losing their minds, aren't they? Because they have not been allowed to postpone their first game of the season yet, Osasuna. And Tebas is saying that it's endangering his team by making them play. But he's also the one. Yeah, the eye rolls said everything we needed to see there. That everybody's thought.
They moan about everything. They moan about the Ballon d'Or. They moan about this. They just are so hard done by, that club. They really are.
Yeah, it must be tough. Yeah.
We got some fellas in the chat. Adrian, Ian, Pierre, welcome. Good to see you all back. I know that the penalty shootout is ongoing as we talk. And it looks like Mo Salah's missed the first penalty, so that's just absolutely wonderful. I was hoping they wouldn't win the Charity Shield today, but they're probably going to now. After booing Diego Jota's 20-minute silence, the Palace fans decided to boo it. So
who is doing that? I don't know. I don't care what club you support. If you are just a human being, who is doing that? I don't get it. Just bring. Well, I'm not going to say what I want to say. They shouldn't exist. Those people shouldn't exist.
Bring back whatever.
Oh, it's going. Yes. I got to be careful. It's never good, is it? Yeah.
4 minutes 15 seconds in, and we're going full. Bring back X or Y is never a good thing to start with.
So anyway, our sponsor today is.
Let's talk the Albion then, shall we? And a little bit of what's been going on in the backroom staff and the ins and outs of the starting 11 and beyond. There's been a lot actually going on this summer, considering we had such a wild summer last year. And I think, at the end of last season, our last episode, all of 2.5 months ago now, our big thing was keep hold of Baleba, keep hold of Van Hecke, keep hold of Mitoma. And we're happy days, really.
Hold on. At time of recording.
No. I'm saying that's what we said at the end of last season. and we're buzzing if we keep all three, right? That was if. All three are currently here at time of recording. Whether that ends up being the case on August 31st, we don't know. But there's also been some pretty big movement in the backroom staff as well. We brought in a new goalkeeping coach from Leicester. He also worked with Bart Verbruggen at Anderlecht. And he obviously played a big part in developing the Leicester goalkeeper, whose name has escaped me, who I didn't write down in my notes, which shows that I just can't be perfect, fellas. But he obviously played a big role there. He's already worked with Bart, and we saw the two goalkeeping coaches that we have, Jack Stern and is it Mark Noob? Either way, they're both gone. And we've then also brought in just this week a new set pieces coach, also from Anderlecht, who in his 2 seasons with Anderlecht, 14% and then 19% of goals were from set pieces. The 19% is a good number, 14 not so much. So you probably a good job that was year 2, right? That's no regression. He will be taking care of both defensive and attacking set pieces this summer. And a lot of the stuff from Hertha was really just, it's nice to get rid of routine and get some fresh faces in. How are you both feeling about this? Both moves, really, especially given that the way we talked about Bart at the end of last season, we have a lot of good words about him, but statistically, he made more mistakes than any other goalkeeper in the Premier League last year. Brand new coach, one he's worked with a lot before as well. You would assume that's probably a good thing. Set pieces, how are we feeling?
I mean, I feel like we've talked forever about not being in a good place with set pieces, attacking or defensive. So I'm willing to just give anyone a try, to be quite frank. So let's see how it goes. I wonder whether there at any point will be a level of consistency in our staff, because it does seem to just churn quite regularly. I think the hope as well, we haven't mentioned this yet, but the medical staff overhaul that we did last year, you would start to think, okay, maybe that begins to pay dividends. And then Adam Webster's out for the season. All of our new signings are injured. So I sort of don't know when that side of things get better, because that's going to be the big thing again for this year. We talked about some of the other clubs that are involved in various European competitions, and obviously it's not a problem for us. But at the same time, we know that we're going to lose a bunch of players throughout this season. We've got depth in certain areas, and we've got very minimal depth in other positions as well. So that medical team better be worth their salt. But if the players are fit and scoring from set pieces with a new guy, wonderful. But remains to be seen so far. Craig, I don't know if your internet's doing a thing or not, but I will say just before I hand over to you, is if you guys caught the friendly yesterday against Wolfsburg, they should have won probably by 1 or 2 clear goals if it wasn't for Bart Verbruggen. He made 2 really very, very, very top draw saves. But he also, I think he fumbled something at one point, or horrible control, passed the ball out in a dodgy place. So that's what we get with Bart Verbruggen, isn't it? Incredible shot stopper. Hopefully he gets rid of the mistakes with this, with the coaching.
Yeah, sorry, my internet's being weird. So if I'm in and out, then sorry. But pretty much, I think that the churn is probably warranted, right? Like, I think the medical team did well last year to try and keep Danny Welbeck on for as long as possible, but we still do struggle with injuries. But otherwise, yeah, set pieces have always been this sort of, Achilles heel of ours for the last couple of seasons. So I'm glad something's changing there. And from a goalkeeper's perspective as well, I know questions were being asked of Verbruggen last year as well, just like unforced errors, that sort of stuff. So it seems like the club is trying to remedy that, or at least try and help negate some of the things that maybe we saw in the last couple of years, which is always nice.
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, just to add on to that as well, like you would hope to see that if we're bringing in new staff like that and letting others go, like, it sounds harsh, like you don't want to then see Jack Stern and Newt go to like Chelsea, and they haven't, right? Like, which probably speaks good for us. Like, we've upgraded. If they were going to United, well, maybe not United is a bad example. If we were going to a decent team, like, we'd be a bit more concerned, but they haven't. And like, while I wish them the absolute best, and like Stern especially has been a very long serving like employee for the Albion, like I'm like, I'd rather us get better than worse. So like, at least they haven't been poached from someone or another. During my look through of just random stuff that I was going through today, I also discovered Bournemouth's defensive set piece coach is Tommy Elphick. How random!
No way. That is weird.
So yeah, he's still cracking on with things. I know he went there, didn't he, right after he left us, and was in and out there for quite a long time. I think he was captain there for a while. But yeah, he's their defensive set piece coach, and we all know obviously that's where Hunemeyer is applying his trade at the minute as well in Germany. So it seems to be a common thing, eh? Centre backs going into defensive set piece coaching is pretty cool. All right, let's talk ins and outs of the actual playing squad, the more exciting stuff. Let's talk outbound first. And I guess let's start with the really big, obvious one, and the one that has essentially funded our summer.
Aaron Cashin.
Yes. Do you know, he isn't even on my list. That's which I think says everything we need to know about that. So João Pedro has up sticks and left. I think we all pretty much came to a consensus after the Brentford game that we would likely never see João Pedro in a Brighton shirt again. And Together BHA podcast, just like a broken clock, were correct this time. And he is gone. 27 games last season, 10 goals, 6 assists. Quite a few of those 10 were penalties, as most people listening were probably about keen to bring up. But what a pen taker he was. How much are we going to miss João Pedro with the signings we have? We've obviously pre-filled him with Seamas and now Costolos as well, right? So we've obviously been very proactive in bringing in players that can do the job and not just hopes and dreams, right? We're spending £30 million on an 18-year-old from Greece. We expect that he will probably deliver at some point. What did you make of João Pedro leaving? How are you feeling about that? How are you feeling about his beginning at Chelsea? Obviously, he's done very well in the Club World Cup, which is, you know, everyone has a different opinion on it. Mine is pretty negative around the Club World Cup and how important it is. For others, you know, it was really eye-opening to me to see how really seriously South American teams and fans took it. Like that gave me a different perspective. But for me, as a European fan, I think the privilege we have of having the best competitions on the planet in-house, it kind of makes me a little bit obnoxious and look down on them when I shouldn't. But what did you guys make of it? Or just Adam, because it looks like Craig's dying in Florida. What did you make of the João Pedro exit? How do you feel it's going to affect us? And, you know, how do you feel about the replacements we've brought in, which we'll really dig into a little bit later? But in terms of vibe of the replacements, how are you feeling?
Yeah, I think I feel like a lot of people would feel mixed emotions about João Pedro going, because let's not rewrite history. There were periods of time where he was the thing that held this whole place together. There are periods throughout parts of the season, last season, the prior season, where I think he was out injured for a few weeks at one point, and we just like couldn't do anything, couldn't score, didn't look good. There were moments where he was absolutely astounding. I mean, there was the time when that famous celebration that he now had with the old like throat slit or whatever that he did. There were moments where it was very like João Pedro is the guy. And we know he was captain at Watford at a young age. We talked about him being a big mentality in the dressing room as well, and being able to be a bit of a leader. Of course, he left on terms that I think we all just thought, oh yeah, that will happen. And he's gone. His goodbye message wasn't particularly heartfelt. I felt quite transactional at the end of it. That is probably the way I'd describe it. I'm not very sad that he's gone. I don't feel any way like I did when it comes to like Alexis McAllister, where there was good vibes everywhere. Everyone's like, you deserve it, mate. You've been amazing. You did really, like, you could tell that you appreciated the city, you appreciated the fans, you did what you needed to do, and then you went away and you did it in a nice way. João Pedro feels a little bit more like a Trossard situation to me. He's like, come in, he did something, and he pissed off. You know, that's what that feels like. The replacements, Now, this is where it gets interesting, because I think for a period of time, from an attacking standpoint this season, after all the business that we've done, unless we do something after this recording, we're on paper, we are a weaker team from an attacking standpoint. Yeah. I don't know if there's any way someone might want to debate that, but the way I see it, that's the case. You've got the two Greek lads, I think. How do we even Charalampus? What do we want to call him? What's his
well, nickname? Isn't it just Babis?
Yeah, Babis, exactly. Yeah. Let's call him Babis. I think he'll play more of the João Pedro role because he's been able to drop deeper in the past and play a little bit more like a 10, whereas Simas is probably just going to be your guy that is your Welbeck swap out. They're both young. They're both very young. Obviously, I'm stating the obvious. Who knows what they're going to do? They might be absolutely awful for quite a while. I think Kostoulis, with the money you've put behind him for the amount that was thrown out, the expectations are obviously going to be high. But I don't think you can expect much out of him for the first half of this season, even the whole season at all. So then you're looking at other players like, can Welbeck stay healthy? Because if he doesn't, what happens at number 9? Who do you play there? Well, you do the Ruter experiment like you did in the friendly. Can that work out? Maybe. But without Welbeck, we've got a whole host of number 10s and not really any number 9s apart from an unproven Simas. So remains to be seen there how that all plays out. We'll miss João Pedro in the short term, that's for sure. But I don't feel emotionally in turmoil about his departure.
Me either. He burnt those bridges, I think, with his birth in the same way as Trossard, right? Like, and I think you're absolutely spot on in that nobody was surprised by the way it ended. Unfortunately, like it seemed like pretty telegraphed that it was going to go that way, which is just a shame. But yeah, we'll see. We'll talk a little bit more about Babis and Simas here shortly. But yeah, I mean, it speaks volumes that we've not even seen them in a real preseason friendly, right? Like Simas got 5 minutes behind closed doors, like on a down low friendly, and Babis hasn't even had that. Other outgoings in the striker department, and I honestly think come September 1st, we'll have a lot more to talk about, right? Because I think we'll have quite a few outgoings between now and the end of the summer. But the big one's still Evan Ferguson, off to Roma on loan with a £40 million option to buy fee. We've talked at length about Evan Ferguson. I'd love to know what your thoughts are on the deal. For me, I think it's a great deal, win-win all round. I really do. Like, we've got him out on loan at a very high-quality football team in a totally different country to reset his entire mentality, right? Because I don't think his mentality was ever an issue prior to whatever the hell happened around that beginning of that European season. We all know what's happened since, and it's just not been working. Whatever's going on just isn't working. We've sent him out on loan. We've agreed, in principle, an excellent fee for a player who today is not worth £40 million. If he ends up banging in 38 goals, it is what it is. Like, he would still manage to get 40 million quid for him. It's more than Alexis McAllister on paper. Well, I suspect Alexis has been paid more now since Liverpool won the league. But like, that's a decent price regardless for a player that currently doesn't have a future at the club. And there's a lot of noise online about not happy about having any fee agreed because they think we could end up with another Gyökeres, and others who really thought he should have stayed and be given a chance for this season. And his preseason form has now just made it even worse, I think, from the Evan truthers. But my thought process is that I think this is a win-win all round, and I don't. Even if he goes there and scores 40 goals and becomes the next Victor Gyökeres, I don't have any regrets with the way the club has handled this at all. How do you feel about it?
I feel like a lot of the fan base were upset about this one, but I'm of the same mindset of you as you are. What else are you going to do? What were you meant to do with him? He's not been able to do it for the Albion for a long time at this point. Like, we're not just talking about, he has a couple of bad games and we're getting rid of him. No, we're into years, plural now, where it's not been going well. Yes, there's been injuries. You then, as you say, you send him out on loan to a bad West Ham side, but a West Ham side that basically didn't have a forward. They didn't have a number 9. because the German lad with the weird teeth was injured, right?
Fulkrug, yeah. And
Thank
then was
you very
kicking
much.
off.
Yeah, so he was in a weird spot. So it was like, this is your chance, mate. You're going to go play for Potter, who got some of the best football out of you. Go and do it. He didn't get nothing. He was useless. So for me, this is Tony Bloom and the whole crew looking at this whole thing as a sunk cost fallacy. The more you sit with Evan Ferguson and try and make it work, you just drain his value to zero, and it quite possibly would never work out. He might never find that form again under this environment. Put him in Italy, completely different situation. Are you going to get a sort of McTominay style setup on your hands? Where
Ballon d'Or nominee.
Ballon d'Or nominee. And can you possibly imagine telling that to anyone that watched Manchester United or the Premier League while McTominay was there, that he will go to Italy for one season and he'll basically be the player of the season and be a Ballon d'Or nominee? Everyone would have laughed in your face. So strange things could happen with Evan Ferguson, but you're right. Get some money out of him, because you're not going to get anything out of this guy if he continues in the way he has continued now for the past year and a half plus. And the club want a return on an investment. Simple as that.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I mean, if anybody wants living proof, Julio Enciso is one of them, right? Like, what's his return? Like, what's his value now on the transfer market, given that he's now out until the new year with another knee injury? He's already had a knee injury, and he's got attitude issues that are well documented, and he can't get starts. He can't be a regular starter for Ipswich. Like, if we'd have sold him that time, like when he was all over it under De Zerbi for that 6 months, we'd have got rid of him for 50 million quid. There would have been teams lining up to pay 50 million quid for him. Now, like, because we've done the same thing with, like, no, let's keep going, keep pushing, and he's not worth much anymore. And it's kind of a rebuild go with him. Yeah, I think the Evan move is good. It's sensible. I'm glad it's happened. Now, speaking of another player that I expected worse and actually left on way better terms than I ever expected. So it was a pleasant surprise, and that's Purvis Estupiñán. He did not leave Watford well, and he did not leave Spain particularly well, per what I could understand. Definitely Watford, but kind of Spain was a bit dodgy as well. He was very clear that he hoped that he would get a move this summer. He said he was ready to move on. Pretty respectful about it to the Ecuadorian media. It wasn't like I want the hell out of this shithole. Like Buonanotte said, he wanted to kill himself for 3 weeks. Like, it was very much like I want to move on, I want to grow, and the club has said I'll be allowed to. We basically got return on investment for Purvis, £20 million, and off to AC Milan he goes. 30 appearances last season, 1 goal, 1 assist, which is quite low for him compared to his previous form. I don't think anyone will deny that Purvis Estupiñán, under that peak De Zerbi side, was, from a neutral fan perspective, in the conversation as one of the best left backs in the Premier League. One, I'm buzzing he's not gone to another Premier League team. And two, I wish him all the absolute best. His message to us on his social media was excellent and everything you would want from a departing player. He played 3 seasons for us and played every game he possibly could. He contributed defensively-ish. He contributed offensively massively. And yeah, I'm perfectly happy with this move. It obviously helps massively that we've gone and got the Kuipers straight in, who we'll talk about here as well shortly when we get to incomings. But the Estupiñán one left me really with a much better taste in my mouth than Pedro. I was really happy with the way he left, and it wasn't what I was expecting, given that he does have a bit of a penchant for flipping his shit a little bit if he wants to go. So how are you feeling about the loss of Purvis on the left-hand side?
Yeah, so this one was, as you say, Purvis's goodbye to the fan base was wonderful. Like that, his goodbye, if you haven't seen it, go look it up on his social media accounts, was what João Pedro should have been. And as you say, there was a period of time where Purvis Estupiñán was on top of the world, and he was one of the players where you would say, like, there's no way he's leaving. Absolutely no way. You can come in, give us 80 million and you can buy him. And for me, his form fell away quite sharply. I think he picked up an injury, didn't he? Never really properly came back to the form he had before. There were stretches of last season where I think I commented that it felt like he forgot how to play football. It looked confused. He looked like he'd trip up over his own feet. The ball would come to him and he'd fall over it. I was just like, what?
It's like he got progressively more left-footed.
Yeah, he did.
It was very weird.
It did. And his defensive work was always a question mark, but it became a liability at points last season too. Now, could he find his form again and have been a solid player? Absolutely. But this is a guy who's 27 years old. You've seen what you've seen out of Purvis at this point in his career. You know what you're going to get from a high and a low point. You've gone and basically traded him for almost identical amounts of money to bring in De Kuiper, who's 3 years younger, has a higher upside. And that is the solid business from the club that we always knew when Ferdi Kadioglu came in with the idea that he would be the starting left back, that was his job. You don't pay that amount of money for someone for them to sit on the bench. So it was going to be Ferdi Kadioglu as the starter before you got the injury. At least that's our expectation. And then you've got De Kuiper now. Estupinian, Purvis was going to be, was obviously the odd man out there, and he wasn't going to be a player that sits on the bench as a rotation option for Ferdi Kadioglu when he's fully fit. So it's just no way to do it. The only way out they could have had would have been to play Kadioglu on the right. He's a right-footed player. There's no reason he's played on the right before. He seems to prefer the left, and you keep Estupinian on the left. But I think we saw enough last season that it's probably time to move on. It's a great move for him. Teo Hernandez has gone to Saudi from AC Milan. Great little spot for him to land.
There are worse places to play than AC Milan, right? Like he's well earned it. He's a great player. He's a great personality by all accounts. It's just a little sad to see the Ecuadorian contingent all gone now. But Sarmiento hasn't left yet, has he? But he's probably on his way out.
Well, I would say, and our friend Andy Naylor, friend of the podcast, did an article on this recently about how we've completely disregarded the whole South American group.
Yeah.
Because obviously Barco gone, Estupinian gone, Pedro gone. You've got Buenanote on the way out.
And
you've
Ciso.
got and Ciso, if he wasn't injured, would be gone. You already got rid of. He's just signed for Atlanta FC. Why am I forgetting his name? Sarmiento.
Steven Alzate.
Yep.
And Caicedo and McAllister.
Yeah, the whole crew. So, and now we're now Athens FC.
Yeah, we're plunging into the Greek depths. Another big move, like the last one really in terms of the big kind of four names that left the club, and he also left up with a wonderful goodbye message. His missus also left like a really lovely goodbye message. Adam, say nothing but nice things about exiting Simon Adingra for me while your mouth is full of food.
It's fairly apt that I just took a large bite and I have to talk about Simon Adingra.
29 appearances last season. Obviously, a bunch of them were substitute appearances. I think he had 12 starts, 29 appearances altogether. 2 goals, 2 assists. Played on the left and the right. Really stepped up under De Zerbi to play on that right wing when we really had nobody else with the injury crises that we had. And he's now gone to Sunderland on a permanent deal. And as I said, he and the missus had nothing but lovely things to say about the club. Your thoughts on the exiting Simon Adingra, Adam?
I want to make it clear as well. Whenever we're talking about this stuff, we're talking about them as footballers. Simon Adingra seems like an absolutely stellar human being, and I wish
he really does.
Nothing but the best. There's players where you warm to them as human beings. Simon Adingra is one of those individuals. We already talked about Alexis McAllister. Purvis had a bit of that about him. And then you've got other players who I'm sure they're nice people, but it certainly feels a little bit more like a mercenary-based relationship. We just mentioned João Pedro. We've mentioned Trossard, so on and so forth. Simon Adingra, lovely guy. Rubbish footballer for me. I don't know how long someone's going to live off of bloody AFCON performance. That's like, that was the height. Oh, he did the AFCON. He won the AFCON. He was good. Yeah, he was sprinted against guys that probably played in second tier somewhere at 95 minutes in, 100 degrees in an African tournament. In the Premier League, he had one move where he cut in and he would shoot. And sometimes that worked. And most of the time that did not work. And I just didn't feel like he offered a lot. Now, do I think Sunderland is a good fit for the guy? Absolutely. Awesome. Lower league team in the Premier League, not a particularly high quality squad. He can shine there. I think if they were to drop down to the Championship and he stayed with the team, I think he'd be a world beater in the Championship. I think he'd be absolutely amazing. Upper tier of the Premier League, not good enough.
Yeah, and he's going to get regular game time there too, isn't he? Like, he's going to be their starter. Like, he's absolutely going to play. And he's going to play in his preferred position, and he's going to get lots of minutes, and he's going to have to do a lot of defensive work. So, like, worst case scenario, he's going to grow awfully as a footballer over the next 12 months, whether he likes it or not, right? And if he doesn't, then he doesn't play. But I think he will. Like, I think that's the sort of person he is. He isn't the sort of player that could end up not behaving himself and not playing. So, yeah, like, for me, like, well wishes as well. Like, nothing but good things to say about the personality hire of his, like, abilities. Like, he was fine. Like, that AFCON performance really was phenomenal. And he showed things that in that AFCON tournament that he never showed ever again, which is just the most baffling to me.
This is got absolute, like, waves of James Rodriguez's performance in that World Cup, where he's lived that performance for his entire career. Absolute garbage football player after that. Terrible. But it's done nothing, absolutely nothing. But he was probably the best player in the world for that one tournament.
Yeah, there's a few though, aren't there? Renato Sanchez as well. I think it was the Portuguese player.
Oh, yeah, him. Went to Swansea, didn't he? And passed to the linesman or something.
Yeah. He then, like, renewed his career though, didn't he? Like, didn't he go to, like, Bayern, was an absolute dog there, and then didn't he go to PSG and actually, like, turn himself around, or somewhere else in France?
So that sounds right. And then you've got, like, way back Andrea Shavin. Do you remember that?
Oh, of course I do. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm saying this because I feel like we've probably got listeners who won't remember that. They would have been in their formative years. Like, what World Cup was that? Because I was looking at this the other day when I was looking up ages of our players. I started to get panicked. Kostoulis was born in 2007. 2007.
Oh, gross.
It was one when the financial crisis happened. Like, it doesn't even know. Like, if he watches The Big Short, he's got no reference point. Anyway, I'm going to look up while you talk. I'm looking up Andrea Shavin.
He wouldn't have even been old enough to freak out over the end of the world in 2012.
No.
The Mayan calendars mean nothing to this lad.
No, he's 7 years removed from the Millennium Dome.
It's absolutely insane.
Imagine
all he can hear is stories about Greece's Euro win as well.
True. God, that was diabolical. That
it really was.
So Shavin moved to Arsenal for the 2009 season. So he had a breakout performance in Euro 2008, and then was sixth in the 2008 Ballon d'Or voting. So 2008, how is that? 17 years ago. Oh boy, 17 years.
We're going to move swiftly on.
Yeah, we got to go.
Let's talk about other panic-inducing ideas. Lately, the Dutch media, reliable Dutch media, have broken stories that Jan-Paul van Hekken does not want to stay here, does not want to renew his contract, and wants to leave the Albion when his contract is up. May I speak for everybody when I say, what the actual fuck is happening here? Where did this come from? Like, where has this came from? Like, what? Like, it has just been, is this truly like the player of the season curse, just persisting, like, without fail? Or, like, where has this came from? Because this is not a player that has popped up in anybody's rumor mill, radar, nothing. Only us, only actual fans who watch every game who go, Jan-Paul van Hekken is the future of our centre half grouping. Like, we need to keep him. He's a fantastic player. No one at the end of last season was going, I, as a Newcastle fan or a United fan or a Chelsea fan or a whatever fan, go, Jan-Paul Van Hecke's top of our list. No one even spoke about the guy. And all of a sudden, he wants out. And then add to that, this week, Manchester United are reportedly, again, top-tier stuff from The Athletic and Ornstein and Co., are well and truly interested in Carlos Baleba, who, but based on reports, either desperately wants to leave or doesn't really care either way this summer, depending on how much you're being paid by the agents, I guess. Baleba is obviously, in my opinion, a Caicedo level cost purchase. Van Hecke seems to be, well, I don't know. No one's even throwing around numbers just yet. And then news yesterday is breaking, but from decent sources, that we're now trying to get him to sign a new deal. And he doesn't seem to be shying away from the idea. So this last 2 weeks has just been absolutely mental about 2 of the 3 that we desperately wanted to keep. Now all of a sudden in flux. What is going on?
Yeah, and unless you've been living under a rock, you're very aware of the Carlos Baleba back and forth. I feel like the Van Hecke stuff has been a little bit more, I don't know, hasn't been quite as back page level reporting for Van Hecke. I just don't know what to believe out of any of this stuff. You don't know who is actually saying what and what their actual opinions are from a player standpoint. Because Van Hecke, I don't know, you look at him and you think, well, why would you want to leave? I think he's contracted until 2027. He gets to play next to 2 compatriots, right? In Verbruggen and Veltman next to him. I think Coppola is actually part Dutch as well. I think he's got like Dutch nationality. You've got Mats Wiefer there. So there's a scenario that could sort of unfold. You've got Wiefer, let's say Veltman right back, Coppola
It looks
back.
It looks like Wiefer will be playing right back. Like, it
we
really
need to
looks
talk
like
about that.
Okay, cool. Carry on.
We need to talk independently about that. I don't know how I feel about that. But you've got Van Hecke could be stood there, right? A right centre back. He's got Coppola left centre back. Wiefer in front of him as a defensive midfielder. Veltman on the right. Verbruggen behind him. This lovely little sort of Dutch setup. Like, well, do you want to leave that? I feel like that's quite a nice thing to have. When it comes to Baleba, the latest today, as of recording, and who knows, back and forth on all of this rubbish, but is that he seems to be up for the move and has signaled that if they work out a fee, he'll do it. But it doesn't seem like one of these ones will kick up a stink. It's like if they work out a fee, I'll go to Manchester United for sure. Great. If they don't, I'll stay at Brighton for a year. It would be quite devastating for him to go. I think everyone probably feels the same about that. He is an absolute blue chip player. My opinion, I've said this before on this podcast, other podcasts. I think he's better than all of his predecessors. And that includes obviously Moises Caicedo and Yves Bissouma. Caicedo generally regarded now as one of, if not the best defensive midfielder, perhaps behind Rodri in the football. Baleba's ceiling is higher than Caicedo's. You're looking at the numbers being thrown about. We know that the club doesn't talk about numbers. So when they're saying, oh, Brighton expect 100 million, 90 million.
Every bloody summer. Summer. Brighton have placed a tag. No, they've not placed any tag. Please.
I think at best you'd have probably got from Bloom and Barber and Weir. If you're interested, you know what the market is. You know what we sold Caicedo for. You know what the transfer fees have been for different position, right? But like Florian Wirtz and what Isak's transfer fee is being talked about. These are the numbers. Let us know.
Yep.
And that will be that. What's your money on right now? Stay or go for him?
I think both stay. I think both stay for a year. This is the the naive optimist in me that pops up at the beginning of August every year doesn't last long. He swiftly makes an exit around September 12th or something like that. But the cautious optimist in me makes me feel like this Jan-Paul van Hecke thing is a Lewis Dunk thing, where he was going to leave because he wanted to go to Fulham. Then he was going to leave because he wanted to go somewhere else. Then he was going to... How many times has Lewis Dunk possibly been about to leave this summer or this whenever, like over the last 10 plus years we've had him? It's got to have been at least 3 or 4 times. Like, the Van Hecke situation just feels to me like something that can actually be resolved with him being here for the next 3 or 4 seasons. It really feels that way.
I hope so, because we joked about him sort of being our playmaker for a lot of last season. The Wolfsburg game, you see where he was on the pitch. What is that? Why is my stupid Amazon device going off there? I don't know why I've got that in my house. Yeah, but he is the guy that moves forward and makes stuff happen. He's the guy that is the extra man when we're trying to create chances. You miss out a lot from that because Dunk will try and do that and he can't get back. And we saw that yesterday too. We see that in 400 different games in recent memory. I know people have put in the chat about Lewis Dunk. We'll talk about Lewis Dunk. There's a lot of question marks there. Van Hecke going... I'm trying to think what would be the bigger impact for us this season out of Van Hecke and Baleba. You say that, but we've got a lot of bodies that can play in that position.
Not anywhere near. I'll tell you why. Because I think of those 2 goals Wolfsburg could have won by, both are stopped by Carlos Baleba. Covering that midfield role.
Probably. Yeah, probably.
I think that Boscagli and or Coppola, and we need to talk at length about that too, about what that means for us as a shape, really, which we'll get into a little bit later as well. But like for me, like I think that losing Baleba would be by far the worst it's because I agree with you. I think he has all the qualities that Caicedo had, and he has all the qualities that Basuma had. And they were 2 very different players playing in the same sort of role, right? But he has all of them plus more. Like, he has everything you want in a midfielder. Like, he just seems to have everything. Like, and he's adding goals, and losing him would be brutal. And I think if we keep him for 1 more year, and it's so difficult to know, right? Because like, agents wise, you just don't know who's in charge of Carlos Baleba, but you know, as a person, he is a very respectful, reserved individual, right? In every interview you've ever seen him in, every like candid footage you get on Brighton Unlocked and stuff, when he's like, the cameras are there, like he's not really bothered about being on the cameras, right? Like he's very like, just, he's not like a Caicedo where you expect to hear stories of Carlos Baleba smashing up his locker, right? Like, it's just not going to happen. And I think there are very much constructive conversations that could take place that ensures that we have an agreement with him that he can definitely leave next year, and we would entertain offers. And this is the sort of price we would accept. And I think it would be more than Caicedo's. I think we will take more next summer. So,
yeah, I think I tweeted something about this where his contract's until 2028. There's no rush to sell this guy. Like, what if he doesn't kick up a complete stink? Which I'd be surprised, as you've just said about his attitude. I'd be surprised if he were to do that. So, barring a monumental drop off in form, which we've seen no signs of because this guy has only got better and better every time we've seen him play, or a horrendous injury, the guy's only going to increase in value for the next year. Now, if you leave it much longer than that, you start to get into the guy isn't going to renew his contract kind of territory. You need to actually make a move. I think staying another year would be the better solution for him, especially when you're talking about going to a Manchester United side now that are moving a bunch of pieces around. This is a big transition period for them. I don't know how pretty this season is going to be for Manchester United especially after the last one. I don't know if it can be uglier, but I don't think it necessarily can be particularly nice going for them. Do you want to go into that? I don't know.
I mean, you say that too, really, don't you? From a footballing perspective, if you're Tony and Paul, whoever's on that conversation, go, just, I know it's a lot of money that you're going to get paid, but just give it a year and see what they look like, yeah? Like, because you may get offers from Real Madrid next year. Like, let's just wait and see what United turn into this calendar year, because if they turn into the team that finishes third, second, or even first, and Amorim turns them around and they are phenomenal, you're going to fit straight into whatever role they want anyway, because you are going to be the best player in that position in that squad regardless. But if you go there and they are who we think they are, like, this could be a disaster for your career, and you're left rebuilding yourself at Real Betis in 3 years' time. Like, we don't want that for you. You don't want that for you, and you're going to get a massive deal next summer anyway. Like, that's guaranteed, barring life. Like, and you're going to take that risk everywhere you go. So, like, why not stay here a year and let's just see first what's going to happen? Because I'm not convinced it's a good footballing move for him.
I mean, I was thinking about this the other day. I was trying to figure out in the last decade, maybe that's too long a period of time, because I think people might be able to think some names up for this, but I'd be interested in people in the chat for this as well. Can you name a player that's moved to Manchester United and left a better footballer? Like, where you can classify moving to Manchester United as being a good career move for that individual?
No. No.
You can say Fernandez, but
I literally was the only name on my lips. I was gonna say Bruno, but
he's the anomaly. That's the anomaly.
And has it been a good move for his career? Because Bruno Fernandes could play in almost any football team on the planet, like, over the last 2 or 3 years, and could have won loads of trophies.
Yeah. Parallel universe is a Ballon d'Or winner. Yeah,
like, legitimate. I hate the guy, but like, really, like he could play absolutely anywhere. He's like in that KDB mold, right? Like you can throw that player in as a creative midfielder in any football team in the world, and he makes them better, if not on par with what you have. Well, Pete De Bruyne was the best, but like, you get what I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
Outside of him, I don't think there is anyone, and it's like, and for that, like, well, that just tells me that Bruno Fernandes, however much I don't like him, is that guy. Like, is him. Like, he's the guy. Like, so. If
you're a footballer with any, I don't know, any sense of just wanting this to be a good footballing move, statistically, you just don't move to Manchester United. It's a career killer. Every single person that goes there and then goes and plays somewhere else is significantly better in the place they go to. We talked about this last time. We talked about this even earlier on the podcast. Look at McTominay. Look at Anthony when he left for just a period of time. He looked like one of the best players on the planet playing for Betis. And before that, he didn't kick a ball at Manchester United. Like, that's just such a weird setup. I mean, you look at a guy like Højlund, who has moved to Manchester United. There's all this talk about, oh, he's going to be the next big thing. Now he's being forced out because it didn't work out after one single year. So I'd be surprised for him to do that, but I would also not be surprised because somehow, I don't know how they figured out how to do this, but despite not being relevant as a footballing entity, generally, barring maybe one Europa League trophy, a dodgy FA Cup win, they've been irrelevant for the last decade. Yet still they have this pull. They had, up until just this week, a horrendous training facility that was showing its age, a stadium that leaks and is falling apart, a carousel of management and rotation there, decaying players, perhaps supposedly a toxic dressing room. What are you moving there for? It's just the brand. It's just Sir Alex Ferguson. It's just a legacy that most of these players wouldn't have necessarily even witnessed at their age because they wouldn't have even seen it because it was so long ago. Like, that's the crazy thing. So it's just a weird exercise in like branding and marketing now that Manchester United are still a relevant football club. They're just a money-making machine from a marketing standpoint. They're a bad football club. Anyway, that was a tangent. The counterpoint to this whole thing is Baleba has two compatriots at Manchester United. Onana for however long he remains there for, because it sounds like they're probably going to try and sign Donnarumma, if you believe the rumors. And Brian Mbeumo, despite being born in France, is a Cameroon national player who they just signed. That is quite. I can't imagine as a Cameroonian in England, you've got many situations where you can go and join a football club where you've got two compatriots playing.
Agreed.
So, yeah, we'll see. I don't think he moves this year.
Neither do I. All right, we are 50 minutes in, Adam. We are taking a long way around on this podcast. All right, let's talk incomings, and let's take as much time as we want to talk about these new incomings individually, and we can kind of speed through preseason, because I don't know about you, but like for me, preseason just is exact. I truly just believe in what the management tell us and what these players tell us. It's a fitness exercise. They love to win, but like they're not going to go away from the Saints game after drawing 2-2 and like not sleep about it. Like it's just at the end of the day, they may be miffed for the bus home and then they're done with it. Like it's a preseason game. We had a great preseason. Don't get me wrong, like unbeaten. We only let one go and it was a crap kind of last 20 minutes against Southampton. But let's talk these new incomings and let's start with Babis, with Costolas. A reported 35 million euros for this lad, 18 years old, from Olympiacos. Inflated market price or testament of like wonder kid potential? I don't know. Babis Stuta is his name, is his nickname. Obviously, most probable listeners of this podcast will know who Batistuta is. For the youngsters amongst us, highly recommend you go look up the absolute shithouse Argentinian, because he really was a phenomenal player, and it's very high praise.
He is to me, when I think of Fiorentina, the football club, and the years they had in that purple kit, he's the person I see in it. It's Gabriel Batistuta, iconic player.
Yeah. 7 goals in 35 games last season for Olympiacos. You are absolutely correct in that he plays that all-around forward, left, right, 10, 9. He's comfortable in all of them per his own thing. He also became Olympiacos' youngest ever league goal scorer and won a Player of the Month award. Hertz was obviously delighted, outstanding young player. But he kind of gave the same message that De Zerbi gave over Baleba at the time, and like really stressed that need for like patience. Like he has to adapt to the Premier League, give him some time. Fan noise, obviously a lot of excitement, but like, and obviously most fans have huge trust, right, in this club's network at this point and the people we bring in. But 35 million euros is a lot of money for an 18-year-old Greek. What do you think the future is for Costolas here? Do you think he stays this summer? Do you think he goes out on loan late? Like, because it's a weird move when you've also like Abdullah Sima came on yesterday too. Like he's a similar player in that he thinks he can play anywhere. He's also played European football and all sorts for all these different teams now, and has actually performed pretty well. Like he's such a weird guy. Like what do you think the next 12 months looks like for Babis then? Let's go short term. Just what is this season for him, and what's your general vibe on the signing?
Yeah, well, I mean, you mentioned Sima there. I wouldn't be shocked if he is gone in the coming week to another European side. I don't think he's destined to stay at the club. It's been enough time and enough body of work at this point where they haven't come out and said this guy is going to be a part of the team. So for me, that means he's not a part of the team. No one knows what this Greek lad is going to be like. Even the people that watched him in the Greek league don't know what he's going to be like. Like they've seen aspects to his game and his athleticism and being sort of beyond his years in that regard, and that's exciting. He's not shown. Well, he's not had a season where he's scored a barrel of goals yet, unless we're talking about like under 19 level or something in that area. And the step up between the Greek league, where he wasn't exactly banging in goals, and in the Premier League is monumental. So what can you expect from this kid? The only indication that we get here that we're onto something special is the fee. That's all we can really go off, because this is an unusual move for this club. We sign young players, we sign potentially high value prospects, but we do it on the low. And then the overtime, great. You'll sign the Baleba, the Caicedo, or whatever for some pennies, and then you sell them on for the big money. 35 million. He's got to be damn good for that to work out. And clearly they've seen something in him where they've gone, this guy is going to be special. How long is it going to take for us to see that? I've got no idea. I don't think you loan him out though, because you don't know what Seamas is going to be. He had an injury last year. Welbeck is good with the old injuries. So then it leaves you very short up top with your options there. So I think he's around, and I think he gets game time. I think he'll play 15 minutes here, 20 minutes there, and they'll probably reassess by January. Has he, hit the ground running, or has it not worked out that well and needs to go out on loan? But for now, I think he gets a chance.
Yeah, I agree. Pop him off up to Hearts in January if he can.
I get that. The SPL might be a decent spot.
Let's talk about his compatriot, Stefan Seamas. Came from Nuremberg, the Nuremberg test that he had last year. Now, this player is much more of a fox in the box, as you noted earlier. He's much more of a out-and-out striker than Costolas is. 12 goals in 23 games last year for Nuremberg. He also played in a league that Hertzler is incredibly familiar with, right? With it being in the German second league. I don't remember what we ended up paying for him. Wasn't it about 20 million euros we ended up paying for this kid?
It was quite a lot, if I remember. It might have been like 26.5 million euros.
So plenty of money. And he's also obviously had another year of a league that Hertzler would definitely have endorsed him staying at if he wanted him to stay there, right? Like, he's obviously happy with that.
21 million quid was the fee, seemingly.
So yeah, I mean, what do we think of Stefan Seamas? Like, he made a 5-minute appearance. As you say, he also did come off an injury from last year as well. I'm assuming we're probably thinking that both of these lads are going to be coming in and used as impact subs initially, right? Like, he will be coming on in the Welbeck role, and you'll be probably seeing Costolas Babis coming on in the Georgie role, like in that area. I mean, there's promising things, right? Comparisons to Sesko, who just signed for United for 80 million quid. We've already paid a fair chunk of money for him. Obviously, I'm very curious to see how he develops. But I think for me, he is also this is his developmental season, and next season will be the year that we want to be able to see him playing more regularly with Wolves this year. What are your thoughts on this one, given that we've obviously offloaded Evan and João Pedro and brought in these two as replacements, really?
Yeah, I mean, the Bundesliga too is, the quality is obviously not to the Premier League level it's not even close. There's a ravine in between the two. As you say, Hertzler had made that step. You don't sign this guy, I think, without, to your point, having Hertzler or someone on the staff go, this guy, we've seen him play. We've seen what he's about. This guy is going to be a good fit for the Premier League. The difference here that you got was that you bought him, loaned him straight back out, and did the Brighton special, and let him finish up at Nuremberg for the remainder of the season. Does that mean that he can come in and be in a position where he can add more value than Costolas? Well, yes, that would be the hope, I would bet. Now, the question is, if Welbeck goes down, is this guy do you just shove him in there and hope for the best? Or do you try something else out and put someone else up top and you do just play Rufer up top in the 9?
I think it's Georgie and Gruder, right?
Maybe, but then if you're playing Gruder to spell Ruta, who's coming on from Minte on the right side?
No, I agree with you. I hear you. I mean, we'll talk a little bit about Tommy Watson here in a minute, who has not made any appearances at all at friendly level. So, like, yeah, questions.
Yeah, so I think that your wing depth is has a big question mark around it at the moment. So yeah, you might see some of these players change spots. I feel like Castulas. I feel like I read somewhere that he can play out a little bit further on the wing as well if needed, and might be able to add some value there. You've got to remember, cast your mind back to not very far to your Pascal Grosses and to your Hinchellwoods and to a host of other players that have come to this club and started playing in positions they had no idea they were going to play in. That's true for one of these guys as well. You might have Kosulas playing in a place that he did not expect to. My expectations, in all honesty, to wrap this up for the Greek guys, are very low this year. This is going to be a bedding in period for these guys. It was never going to be easy to rip out a player of João Pedro's quality and replace them in the short term. It's just we can't do that. So we're going to have to go through this period of change. If they can add some value this season, amazing. But this is why we go back to what we said on the final episode of last season. For me, the most important thing to do this year was to keep Matoma at the club and still have that top tier attacking option. And seemingly, fingers crossed, touch wood, we have done that. And he hopefully can be able to hold everything else together. And the other piece is, if you've been watching preseason, take what you want from preseason. As you said, it's just a glorified training session. Minte has been electric for the games. Yeah. So
he loves preseason, does Yankuba.
He does, but you know what? This might be his breakout. Year. And between Minte in a breakout year and Matoma with the quality he has, lob anyone in the middle, and it should work out.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Tommy Watson, just a little bit on him. We've not seen him in any way, shape, or form. What's the story there? Obviously, finished his career at Sunderland with a 95th minute playoff final winner. Doesn't get much better. Kind of like a classic example of a Brighton signing, like a young EFL winger, like that's homegrown, that can just come in and develop. What do you take of that? Obviously, the initial signing was pretty just low key, other than the fact that Sunderland fans turned on him, right, which brought out like a bit more of a media response. But like outside of that, everyone was just like, oh yeah, he'll be here next year. And then the goal changed everything. The playoff winner changed everything. Like that obviously created a massive buzz around Tommy Watson, and we've not seen anything from him. Is this a player that you think might go out on loan this year? Do you think he is going to stick around and kind of develop behind Mitoma and Minte and hopefully fill in those goals gaps as a sub? What are your thoughts on his future here? Like, and we can spend a lot less time on him because we actually haven't seen him at all. What are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, we'll be quick on it. I think he sticks around. The murmurs that seemingly we have out of the club is that he has impressed in what they've seen in training from him. You just don't have the depth to let him go, because when who's playing for Matoma?
No one.
I'm genuinely
I agree.
I don't know who's coming in from Matoma when you need to take him off and you need a left winger. I don't know who that is. So I think you need to keep him around. The only other option you've got when we talk about he plays in the right wing and left wing as a backup, Ferdy Kadioglu.
Well, there is that. You just took the words out of my mouth. If De Kuiper's going to be playing as left back primarily, that all obviously opens up a role there. But yeah, we really need to talk about the shape as well, like, because there's all sorts of questions being asked here, and we'll talk about De Kuiper last, just because I really want to talk about the two other signings we've made this summer, the big ones. Olivier Boscagli and Diego Coppola. Boscagli, we talked about this fella for months beforehand as a free transfer opportunity. Massive coup for us, right? Generally, like, everyone seems to think this is an excellent signing for us. like the PSV fans consider him to be like that quarterback type defender. Like the passing is unbelievable. The range, the way he can break lines, sound like anybody familiar, right? Like half of our centre backs already. Perfect fit for a possession-based team. Like everything looks great. Would you put him next to a player like Van Hecker or Veltman, right? And you've got some major solidity there, like a good like yin and yang playing together. And he's also came in and said that the start to his career here has been amazing. The conversations he's had with Hertzler have been mainly around where he's crap, which is one of his favorite things that he's ever talked about. Can't ask for more than that, right? From a centre half coming in. And he's also not one of those 21-year-olds. Like he's older, he's got experience, he's a great player, and has barely touched preseason as well. Diego Coppola, on the other hand, more of a old school centre half, right? No nonsense, traditional Italian centre half, like 6'4", absolute monster. Was really impressive in the Euro under 21s for everybody who watched that. If you want to get hyped about the potential of this lad, go watch his final couple of games. Unbelievable. He led Serie A in interceptions last season. His aerial duel stats are absolutely nuts and was just 10 million quid from Verona. Obviously a fantastic signing on paper. This is not a player I envision sitting on the bench for 28 games this season. He is going to want to play football. Olivier Boscagli, in a World Cup year, is most certainly going to want to be featuring in a Premier League football club that he's just signed for on a free contract, where half the league probably would have took him. Lewis Dunk, Captain Fantastic, is certainly not going to want to lose his place. Jan-Paul Van Hecker, if he stays, is one of the first names on the team sheet. Hertzler has played a back three at length at St. Pauli. What is going? Is this a move? Is it a look like 4 into 2? Don't go, Adam. Like what is happening? And we certainly weren't thinking that Van Hecker was leaving this season, right? Like anyone would tell you. So, like, what are we doing here? Because that is 4 centre halves that we'll expect to start. You can get away with having one ride the bench. You can't with 2. So, like, what is the idea here from the club? These are 2 excellent signings on paper, but we already have our captain and we have Van Hecker here. Regardless of what we think of Dunk, he's still going to be in the picture somehow, right? Like, what are your thoughts on these 2 signings and where they fit in this starting 11? Because I guarantee you both of them expect to be in it.
Well, firstly, how dare you not bring up Igor?
He's gone, any. He wants to go, and
well, he's not gone. He's still knocking about, isn't he? For now,
he's not been in any friendlies, though, has he?
He's not, but he's still technically at the club. The reason I bring that up is Adam Webster's injury has potentially changed their plans for Igor, because I kind of feel like Coppola was the Igor and Webster replacement. I don't know how you do this. I think a lot of us, when these signings were made, did say he's finally going to be moving to the back, the back 3, back 5. And it would make sense, right? You've got De Kuyper, who doesn't want to defend. You've got Wiefer, who is not a right back. And it would make sense to the bodies that you have. We've seen none of that. We've
extended Lamptey and Kadioglu's coming back. 2 players that would be much happier in a wing-back role.
Correct. Now, is this a great surprise? Is this a big shock? And day one, we're going to come out with a 3-back? Maybe. We've seen Hertzler do weirder stuff. We really have. So I wouldn't count any chickens here. At the same time, for me, this is... No, we have to talk about the Dunk thing, right? So for me, this is Boscagli and Van Hecker as your starting centre-back pairing. Is that going to happen from day one? Probably not. Is that going to happen at some point during the season? Yes. Because I think you're going to get into a situation, unfortunately, where we're going to get more and more views of Dunk not necessarily being there anymore. And it will take one knock, one injury where he's out for 2 to 3 weeks and he will lose his spot and he won't get it back.
You'd argue 1 week, right? One clean sheet, and he ain't going to change the back line if it. That's it.
Maybe. I just don't know. And again, no one actually wants to see this go down. But I don't. His decision making, again, I know we keep talking about preseason games, but that's the only thing we can look at over the recent couple of months. He was out of position for 2-3 times. Made the wrong ball, watched for one of them where a through ball went in and Verbruggen made a really excellent save. The player just ran behind Dunk. Dunk missed him completely. Bunch of other times he was caught way too far at the pitch, couldn't get back, went to press instead of go back into position. Like it was not good. And the problem is normally you could go, whatever, it's just preseason. But it's not. It's a continuation of what we saw last year. That is the problem. And that's upsetting. But in terms of like if I were doing the team sheet and I said, okay, what's my best, most solid defensive grouping? It doesn't have Lewis Dunk in it, unfortunately. And I say that having not witnessed Boscagli or Coppola play a competitive game in a Brighton shirt. Boscagli, that was excellent last year, supposedly, was one of the standout players. And as you say, you would hope he's coming. You would imagine he's come in and he's been told, you are going to play football, mate. You're not here to sit down on the bench. You ain't benching Van Hecker, right? No. There's just no way. So for me, it's Dunk drops. Coppola's young enough where you can bring him on to come in for certain games. If you need to mix things up, you can play a 3 every now and then. The other thing is Boscagli in an emergency situation can play at left back. If you need, and I could see this, by the way, you're sitting deeper against the team. The Kuiper's not going to be the guy you want sitting deep. Put Boscagli at left back and have like Coppola, Van Hecker in the centre back positions. And that way you bring Veltman on at right back. And then suddenly that's your like sit deep. Don't let anything happen at the back. I've not mentioned Dunk in any of those scenarios. But I still think he starts. I think he'll start. He'll play. I don't know why or how, but he will. I've got a feeling.
Yeah, it's a tough thing seeing an exit of a cap. Like, it's such a, especially a long serving one. Like they've got to be so careful with it. But yeah, I think as Stephen also says in the chat, like it feels like he's lost 2 yards, and it's started in that European season, and it's gotten progressively worse. Yeah, I mean we shall see. It's just an interesting problem to see, and I'll be intrigued to see how it works out.
Well, I was going to say one last thing on this. The only sort of the comparison point that stands out for me is what happened with John Terry at Chelsea. Where you saw like everyone saw the writing was on the wall, and over time you made the switch, and then he got his final sort of like move. Was Villa? Wasn't it? I can't even remember at this point.
Was Villa? Yeah.
But that's the thing. No one remembers that, so no one's going to remember Dunk going to
Ipswich.
Yeah, for a year and a half, 2 years, whatever. No one's going to care. It's still going to be Lewis Dunk. Brighton legend, Brighton captain. Because no one thinks John Terry, Villa player. No one thinks Frank Lampard, Man City group legend. City football group legend. You just don't think it. You just, it's not, yeah. No, Steven Gerrard, LA Galaxy hero.
Yeah, Rangers Revolution. Yeah. Last signing, and this will be a quick one because I know you are becoming time pressured. Maxim de Kuiper. We have replaced one incredibly ambitious attacking outputted left back with defensive vulnerabilities with another incredibly attacking left back with defensive vulnerabilities. I'm gonna cough.
You got too excited about the kite. This I understand it. I'm excited about it too.
Club Bruges, lots of experience playing in Europe already. 15 assists, I think it was last season. He has obviously a ton of attacking output, defensively vulnerable, especially on the European stage against the better teams. To me, his arrival with the centre halves just makes like it's a stronger hint than ever that we would move to a back three, and yet throughout preseason we have stayed at a back four. So I totally agree with you that is that going to be a slow move as well, right? Like when these players become Premier League ready, so to speak, we'll see this team transition into a three. I don't know. But obviously a fantastic looking player, already scored in preseason this week.
Tidy finish as well.
Very, very. And I think is absolutely going to be playing at left back against Fulham. I don't think there's a doubt in my mind that he'll be starting there. I don't. Do you have anything else to add on that other than kind of just let's see how it goes?
I'm really excited to see him, and I think we'll get amazing situations when you think about what he can do with Mitoma. Like what a force to be reckoned with on that left hand side. And then you start to think about what on earth is going to happen when he has to defend. So it's going to be an exciting watch. I will say the biggest thing for me still, and this has been an ongoing mystery now at this point for over a year. I just don't. Where's Ferdi Gadioglu going to play?
I don't know. And like he's starting to play in preseason games, isn't he? Properly, like he's starting to get minutes in them. Like to me, like it's out. He's surely just going to move to right back.
Yeah, why are you not playing? Why is that not like the very clear? To me, that's the no-brainer option.
I think they're just being careful bringing him back. Like it's almost like this medical team, this new one, are being like exceedingly cautious to stop any risks of like last season and the season before happening again.
Yeah,
and they're like, look, like you will have to cope with this for a little longer because we are doing everything in our power to ensure that all of these players are 100% ready for the rigors of the Premier League. But I don't know.
I think you're right. And Weef has been playing. I think he's been playing very well in spite of the position he's been playing in.
I agree. Yeah, it's not his natural spot, but he's done well in it.
Yeah.
Preseason wise, unbeaten 6-1 against Wickham behind closed doors. Welbs scored 4, I believe. We beat Stoke and Las Palmas in Spain. Drew with Saints 2-2. Minte bagged twice there, looking very good. And then De Kuyper and Georgie scored twice to beat Wolfsburg this weekend, despite how defensively frail we looked sometimes. Preseason is just so unimportant to me, but I'd rather look at all these with the W column next to them than L's, right? Like that, I believe that ended Wolfsburg's preseason of 0-1-5. I'd be a lot more worried about that than I would coming into preseason unbeaten with mostly excellent form. And we're going to need it because our opening fixtures are brutal. Fulham at home, bogey team, right? Everton away, brand new stadium, first ever home game for them. Brilliant.
Is Jack Grealish going to be an Everton player by the time we play that game?
It looks possible.
Probably. World.
Manchester City at home, Tottenham away. Tottenham at home as well. And then Chelsea in the first 6 games as well. Like that is an unbelievably tough set of games to have to play. As your opening fixtures. I don't think we've ever had a harder run of things. And I mean, I'll give you, we're talking about the possible movement for Lewis Dunk being edged out of the team. If we haven't got barely any points on the board by October after these sets of games, because of who we're playing against, I mean, there's your opportunity, right, to transition in these fresher players. But what are your realistic goals this season? What do you feel about for our finish, our run, our season performance in general? How are you feeling? Positivity, thoughts? Just give me everything on how you're expecting the season to go.
Yeah, look, I think last season worked out weirdly in a position where it was sort of better than we expected, but also worse than it could have been with some of those like poor runs of forms that we had, where it was very clear if things had worked out a slight bit differently, we'd have been playing European football. And that is a shame. That really is a shame. And we know with the continued investment in the club, the expectation is European football. I just look at this again though, and I look at where we think there's going to be movement in some of these teams that had shocking finishes last year, and I go, where do we slot in this whole scenario? Like that is, to me, that's the big question, because we talked about on the final episode of last season, are Man United really going to be that bad again? Probably not.
I don't think so.
Are Spurs going to be that? Well, maybe that. Maybe.
Do you know what? Maybe look at that attacking lineup like that they've got now with Maddison out, especially. Like, it just keeps getting worse for them. Like defensively, Brentford were never known for their defensive prowess, and Spurs aren't either. Like, I think they could have a rough year again. Not to the level they were last season, especially with Europe struggle.
I agree. I mean, I think you could see a Forest drop off. You can see a Bournemouth drop off, very much so, right? You could see a Brentford drop off. I don't know what Fulham are going to do. I don't know what Palace are going to do. I think you'll see a much stronger Everton with Moyes, much more solid. I don't know if West Ham can get worse, but maybe they could. I just don't think you could see Spurs in 17th.
Not a chance,
right? So it's like I think everyone's probably thinking, well, Spurs and Man United are going to be top 10 teams, right? So that pushes two sides out. You just hope you ain't one of them. So for me, I think if you get top 8 again, you have to be really happy with that, especially because, in my opinion, this is a season where you've moved a bunch of pieces around. And to think that with the players that we have brought in, of the ages that they are, that they're going to be fully hitting the ground running and banging in a bunch of goals, I think is the wrong expectation to have. Now, do I think we can see flashes of brilliance? Do I think we've still got world-class players in the team that can really make a difference? Absolutely. Do I think we now, on paper, have the best defensive grouping that we've had in the Premier League era? Potentially. Like we potentially do. So I think we could do something special, but if I'm hedging my bets, I'm saying it's going to be an 8th, around the 8th, 9th position is sort of the area with an upside to 7th for me.
I pretty much agree with everything you said. So that's a bad podcast, isn't it? Really,
it is awful. Yeah, do a different edit. Say one where you just disagree entirely. And we're going to finish 4th.
You don't know nothing. But I'd tell you one thing that I'll add to that is that I don't just want. I truly expect a cup final appearance this year. Like, I want us to go all the way and to take it seriously. When you get there on the day, whether you win or not, it's just on the day, and it like you could or you couldn't. But I want a cup final appearance. I really do. Like, after this season just gone with them winning the FA Cup, like I want us to do something. Like, we've done all this work and we're a brilliantly run club compared to 90% of the football league, right? Like, why are we not getting to cup finals? And these teams that are run like jokes are like, let's go get one. Like, it doesn't matter if we win it or not. Obviously it would once we get there, but like, let's show up, like show that we're not just like a football manager data guy's wet dream. Like, we actually are capable of playing football. Like,
Opta FC. Yeah. No, I agree with you. I agree with you. That would be nice. Do you have a hot take for this? I've got one hot take for the season.
I have. Well, let's just really quickly. Can you see past Liverpool winning the title, given that their insane transfer window? Do you think they'll win it again? I do.
If they get Isaac, yes. If they don't get Isaac, I don't know why people are doing this. People are really sleeping on Man City, and I think.
I'm sleeping on him, and I'll tell you why, because at the start of the podcast I said it. I think that Club World Cup whiplash is going to hit them at some point, and I think even if they drop off for a month, it's a month too much.
Probably, but you've got
that's my thought.
I don't know, man. You've got Rodri back. You've signed Reinders from Milan, who's supposedly excellent. You've signed Shirky, who's capable of like top tier stuff. Marmoush this is his first, like, from the start of the season. I honestly, if you want my money right now, I say Man City win and Liverpool come second without Isaac.
Okay, lovely. That was an easy one. Relegation. Do all three come back down? I don't think they do. And I think there's a whole raft of Premier League teams that could go. I think there could be 8 teams in the relegation battle this season. How do you feel about that?
I don't know. I need to see more of how they flesh out their squads a little bit more in terms of signings.
Yeah.
But what do Wolves look like nowadays after they've been pillaged?
Not much. Same as Brentford.
Because Brentford without Thomas Frank, with a squad that's going to lose Mbermo, Wissa. Yeah.
Damsgaard. Whichever one. That's their captain, centre midfielder. He's gone.
Yeah.
They've been gutted. Bournemouth have lost a lot of their top players.
I'm putting this out in the universe. This is sort of tongue in cheek. Palace might lose Eze to Arsenal. They've not done anything particularly impressive. Sounds like the manager is not particularly happy.
He's pissed off, yeah.
I don't know how strong they look, and they've got to play European football.
Well, they are weaker than last season right now across the field, by far. They lose Eze, they're even weaker. They lose Glasner, they're in big trouble, right? From what I've seen online, from Frankfurt fans, this is not a surprise. This is the way Glasner did it last time around. So it won't. No one from that side of the fence is like, oh no, this is so unexpected. So this isn't a one-off thing for Glasner. He could actually just be like, yeah, F you, I'm out. So
and he'll walk into
cross our fingers.
Any top job that has a vacancy.
Absolutely. All right, hot take for the season then. I don't want to. I know you're even closer to a time crunch now.
This is it for me.
Fulham preview. There's not much to talk about. We'll just have to see what rocks up on the day, really. But key players then. Hot takes, whatever you've got, one each for this season. Do you want to go first with yours?
Yeah, this was where I was heading anyway. For me, I think Diego Gomez is going to be one of the players of the season.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. I don't like his haircut because he looks like Sarmiento now, and it confuses me. So I don't know what he's done there. But I think he's going to become a really important player for us this season. A really important player. That's my hot take.
I think this season's success hinges on Jorginho Rutter. If he is fit and playing games, we will win games. I think he is probably going to be in our history books as one of the best striking goal scorers we've ever signed.
That is a
if he sticks around,
hot take.
But I don't think he will stick around. I think he'll obviously go just like everyone else. But I think he is going to be a better player in terms of goal involvement than João Pedro ever was. There. That's a better way of putting it.
I think he's got more passion and he'll try harder than João Pedro.
It just looks like he's a bit like Minte. Looks like he's picked up a bit of just something that a bit of experience, a bit of stuff. Minte running at the defenses yesterday looked like a much more controlled psychopath. And Rutter yesterday with the goal and all preseason, he just looks like he's added an extra. He looks like he's controlling the ball now instead of kind of fumbling with it and then banging it in. It looks like he's taking a touch that's meant to be taken and then banging it in. He looks like he's learned the finesse side from Welbs and actually can finish.
Yeah, I mean, and he's one of the ones that even when he does leave, he's going to be one that he's a fan favorite.
He will have to do something real heinous to have one in him gone. To be good riddance. He's gonna have to really do something bad.
Agreed.
Same for Baleba, and I don't think either have the personality type to be capable of it. I think they'll leave on pretty good terms. But
I agree.
Right.
I agree. And but I'm last thing, because I know I'm the one that's saying I need to go. Before people get hatred for us, we haven't talked about Malik Yakuye and his the future for him. We know that he's impressed and everyone's excited about him. Sounds like he's probably going to go on loan to Swansea. If for some eventuality we sell Baleba to Manchester United, I think he probably sticks around.
I think
yeah.
he's a deadline day move now because of that. I think he will stay until we know, and then he will go. Like I agree with you on that. And for those listening, anyone we haven't talked about or brought up, it's not that we've forgotten. We're expecting their moves to take place, and we can talk about that move to wherever they go to develop when they actually go, instead of adding them into an hour and a half season preview. We've focused on the big ones, right? Like we've focused on our big incomings, our big outgoings. We haven't even talked about that Nils fella that we brought in for like 700 grand. Like,
why have you guys not talked about Do Young Yoon? Come on.
Right, exactly.
Anyway.
He's very much on the radar, but maybe 3 years from now. So we will be back next weekend to talk all about the opening game of the season. And with that fixture list, it's not must win, but it would be really nice to get 3 points on the board early with a very, very tough fixture list over the next couple of weeks. So we will be back. We'll be talking everything, takeaways from the first game of the season. And we're 20 days away from the transfer window ending. I'm sure there'll be movement this week, just like the next couple of weeks ahead. So have a wonderful week. Football is well and truly back. And yeah, stay safe.
Cheers all.